Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. We got Mike Johnson coming up here in just a few moments. Marcellus Wiley later in the hour. The NBA getting started in a week. The Raptors are in action tonight. They're in Chicago. And, it's a great time of year. We said that an hour ago. We're all in the building watching a Leaf game last night. You're tracking the Monday Nighter. You're tracking what's going on in both series, American League, National League. You got NBA preseason games coming down the wire in the Canadian Football League. MLS, you see Michael Bradley announced his retirement at the end of this season. This weekend will be his finale at
Dude,
BMO
I thought
Field.
that guy was done after they won the championship years ago, to be honest with you.
Well, I think it was tough when his
there.
dad came in. Yeah, when his dad, Bob Bradley, came in, that was, I think, a really difficult experience for him, as you can imagine. I mean,
imagine, like, I talk about the back of the bus. Imagine the back of the bus when you know 3 or 4 guys hate your old man, and they just want to talk crap about him. That's a tough gig.
It's incredibly tough.
Yeah,
it's incredibly unfortunate. And I'm sure at the time, Michael Bradley, we can't speak for him. We've invited him on the show. We've been on the show many times before. We hope we can get him on this week. It would have been excitement. It would have been a new journey, something I'm sure he'll never forget. You get to work with your dad. That'd be incredibly cool. But once it started
cool
going south.
It's cool until it goes south, and then you're
Exactly.
like, why did this guy need to come here?
Because it's crossroads. You're right. Like, if it works and he connects the dots, they start winning, that would be the most incredible experience.
There's features, father-son duo, the greatest, this and that. Instead, it was a mess from pretty much
disaster. Almost day one, it was like, Bob Bradley has got to get out of here. He's not alone. A bunch of players have got to get out of here. And, I think
ruffled feathers with the Italian superstars, and they were all pissed off. I don't know.
They didn't help either. They've been a disaster since they got here. They got their money. They showed up. They've been horrible. But I think this is this was probably going to happen anyway, but probably move one of the John Herdman era. Like, you got to get rid of the past completely. Like, you're restarting from scratch with John Herdman, and maybe everything's going to turn over.
Maybe Doogie gets Stevie Caldwell or Andy Petrillo on tomorrow, and we'll talk to them.
I think this week we'll do that. Yeah, we got to have either Andy on or Stevie. I saw Stevie was online posting something because one of the former teams I guess he played for over in Europe posted like a random player of the day, and it was him. He just looked glorious in the kit. It was a great kit. It was a maroon and blue kit, I believe. He had the hair.
He's one of my favorite people on earth, man. He's just a legend. He's
absolute
a legend.
machine. Absolute machine. We love Stephen Caldwell. So, we'll do that at some point this week for sure. So, a lot going on. Leafs are off tonight, off tomorrow, down in Florida. And, we talked about it last week when the Habs were in town. Bedard last night, when Boston plays, it's going to be, something people clearly circle and look forward to. I think when they play Edmonton, that's always a big game. McDavid coming home, the Leafs going out west. But it feels like, the state of Florida should be playing a bigger role than it has for a long time because of what happened in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Right? It's you beat Tampa, you're going to get them Saturday night, and you lost to Florida, you're going to get them on Thursday night. And, I think it's good for the team to get out of Dodge here, right? You played 3 games, they went 2-1, they banked 4 points. First 2 games were thoroughly entertaining. They didn't play awful last night, but they had no life early. And then they're chasing the game against an inferior team. That's a bad loss. No other way to describe it. Bad loss. But now you hit the road for 5. You guys have said this countless times over the years. Early in the season, a longer road trip, sometimes that can help.
Yeah.
I wish it was a road trip I wish it was more of like a gritty road trip, like started in Philly and then up to Boston. And then maybe rain. Like, you know what I mean? It seems like when you want to, like, buckle down, it's like, let's go to South Florida. Just get me to Philly for a buckle down game. Ask Johnny. Maybe Johnny has a different place to start a buckle down road trip.
A buckle down road trip. All right, here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Do you have one market in particular that is market A, like number one choice for a buckle down road trip to get the boys cooking here?
Philly's not bad, though. If you did a Jersey trip but stayed in Jersey,
Oh, yes.
That means it's no fun zone.
No, we're focused. We're eating together, likely in the hotel, and we're thinking about the thing tomorrow. Like we're not. No one's scattering. Everyone's staying together and getting ready to play.
There'd be still one guy that would wheel into the city, though.
Oh, you're going I know. You're going through the Holland Tunnel there. Like, to me, I remember playing Jersey, and there was like one restaurant. We went to like a Hula Hands. Like that, I think that's what it was called, Hula Hands.
That's exactly what it's called.
The whole team is sitting in Hula Hands, and it's chicken fingers and fries. I didn't mind it, but it's just like there was nothing there, and it's not like you can go, hey, let's go to a club, let's go. It's like steel mills and
Noodles.
Factories.
We got snowed in.
It's terrible.
We got snowed in Long Island one night, and we were informed of this at the rink. And you know the rule, you're not allowed to go to the hotel lobby bar because that's where the coaches like to hang out. Me and 5 other guys walked back to that crappy hotel across from the Long Island rink. And I said, I'm sitting here at this hotel bar, and I'm getting creamed, and I don't care what coach comes in here because there's nowhere else to go. It was snowing sideways. And they sat at their little table, and we sat at ours, and I'm like, this is so stupid. How come these guys can't leave?
That place, like, as far as the NHL loop, respectfully, that Marriott across the parking lot from the Nassau County Coliseum was just an abject disaster. The Champs Sports Bar, who did like wings and fingers and pints, and that was it. And there was nothing else around there. And you had to do the 150-yard dash through all the seekers to try to get to the rink in the afternoon. Yeah, that place was. We had the same thing. I was working. I wasn't playing. Like the day after Christmas, the 26th game, and we were snowed in. On the 26th, I couldn't get out. It was like the end of days snowstorm. We tried to find a way into the city to take a train to Washington. It was just a disaster. But if you want to get gritty, you want to get a bounce-back, focused kind of game, you can head there. One more. It's too close to Toronto, but if you go to Buffalo, you're not Chippewa Street. Like, you're not going out there. Like, it's Buffalo. He's downtown. It's not.
You can find a spot.
I don't mind a little Chippewa Street.
You can find a spot. You can find something.
Yeah.
I remember being in Toronto, and Toronto's a great city. And one of my teammates said, "Do you have your passport?" I said, "Yeah, I actually do." And he goes, "Come with me." And we ended up in Buffalo. And we barely made it back for morning skate the next morning. And we were at some, like, wings bars, whatever it was. All hell broke loose
You
there.
never hear about the reverse. It's always
the reverse.
The Buffalo players coming up here. Never the other way.
I might have had a teammate or two that actually played in Buffalo. So then got some locals there and stuff. It was actually a fun night. Yeah.
Okay.
Just from what I remember, it was great.
Yeah, you don't see that too often. You don't see it going the other way.
Chasing a better night in Buffalo than Toronto. No, you don't. You don't hear that.
No, you
don't. You really don't. So the Leafs have played 3 games. The reason we mentioned hitting the road is because that's what they're going to do. They're going on a 5-game road trip starting Thursday. It definitely was not. This was kind of a layup start. Montreal, Minnesota, Chicago. They end up with 4 points. Thoroughly entertaining games at times, even last night, even though they couldn't score. They came alive in the second and third period. Awful first period. And some really awful defensive breakdowns, especially in the neutral zone in around their blue line. But, we played it's only 1 game, but how about we apply that to 3 games? Looking back on the homestand here, what do you make of the Leafs so far?
That they are still working on the kinks. They're still integrating new players, how it's going to fit, and all the new players they haven't exactly meshed perfectly just yet through 3 games. And you're exactly right. It reminds me, was it last year? Was it 2 years ago? Remember they went to California and they lost to the Ducks in overtime, and all hell was breaking loose, and Sheldon was, got on Mitch Marner, then Mitch Marner got back. It was like a real tumultuous time. Mm-hmm. And what they were doing in that time was the big miss. The big breakdown. And that's kind of what's going on now. Like, you're right, the first period was so sloppy, puck management, just attention to detail wasn't there. But you can kind of survive that if you're able to avoid the big mistake. And you give up breakaways to Corey Perry. Like, that guy, you should never try to pick a puck off on that guy. Just turn and skate because you're going to catch him. But, breakaway there, shorthanded, and all of a sudden you're giving up goals that your goalie can't save. It just, the big miss is an issue. But I think through 3 games, Hayes, you want to know what I think? What I think so far is the second pair is not working just yet. McCabe, Klingberg, just not, they play on their end too much. They give up too many chances against. That was always going to be a wild card pair because we know Riley Brody, who generally have looked pretty good so far, have worked, and Liljegren and Giordano, we generally in third pair role and minutes will look pretty good. And they have. They've been good through 3 games. McCabe, Klingberg, not good at all. And same thing with the bottom 2 lines up front. I know everyone's singing the praise of Reeves, and he's done some things. He's got the belt, and the boys on the ice appreciate what he's doing. But that line is getting hemmed in night after night. They get outshot, outchanced, outplayed with the puck in their own end all the time. And so that they got to correct that a little bit. And then the other one is the Minton-Knies combo, whether it's Yarncroke or Domi. They're better than the fourth line, but still not quite there yet. And then it makes me think of Max himself, who sort of has slid up and down and up again, trying to find his footing about how to play offensively, but how to be responsible in Sheldon's system. And he hasn't figured it out yet, and he's going to have to. So there's some serious stuff to work through. Now, the big guys, they're playing. They're dangerous. They're generating a boatload of chances every game, 5-on-5 and on the power play. But you're going to need more than that, and that's what they're working on right now.
So, Johnny, how do they balance? Like we've talked about the D-core and the odd man rushes and the chances off the rush that are glaring. So how do the skill guys balance do what they do? I mean, they make special plays. They can handle the puck. They can turn up. They can do this or that. But they've got to be thinking, we just can't turn this thing over with this D-core. Like, is there some kind of balance there? What do they do?
Well, I mean, I think situational awareness. Listen, they're great players. They know who's out there, what the score is, where the players are. And if I'm the last man back, or if I have a deactivating, maybe like a low-risk play at the blue line is not the right one. I got to take it deeper. I got to make a different kind of play. And I would trust those guys to make those plays. Well, you've been on teams where the coaches have gotten on you to make smarter plays, and you make them because you figure it out. And I think that's what these guys have to do. Also, if you're the defenseman out there, you also need to recognize, if it's Gregor, he's going to drive this deep and shoot it. So I can kind of try to beat my guy up the ice and look to go a little bit more. If it's a kind of a slow developing 3-on-2, if I'm exploding with a half step, maybe that's not the time, because if this turns over, we don't have the insulation behind me to not have it be a 2-on-1, 3-on-1 going the other way. So it's across the board, situational awareness and puck management. That doesn't mean don't make plays. It just means make smart plays and make them at the right time in the right place.
I don't know, Johnny. It seems like maybe Knies, give him a shot elevated, just a couple games. I don't know. He just looks like a big, strong guy, and he looks like he wants and needs a little bit more. Would you explore that?
And slide who down?
I don't know, a Yarncrook or, I don't know, Bertuzzi, that line, I don't know. I would just give Knies a little shot and say, what do you got for a couple games? Yeah,
no, I hear what you're saying. I mean, if you're thinking, could you go Yarncroke and Domi and Minton, and then put Knies up with Tavares and Nylander, or flip-flop Bertuzzi? Yeah, I mean, I think so. But I think we need to also be mindful. Like, Matthew Knies looks so good when he plays, right? Through the training camp, you see how big he is, how strong he is, how quick he is. And yet he's never in college been a massive point producer, right? Mm-hmm. Like he had 41 points in 38 games playing on the best team in the country with Logan Cooley as a centerman. That's not massive production. It's good, but it's not great. So I wonder if we just have to temper the idea that even if, no matter where you play him, if he's going to be right now like a 60, 70-point guy. Like he might be a complimentary player that does a whole bunch of good things that is a 40-point guy, and that would be really valuable. I just don't know if he's got the finish just yet in his game. But that third line, it hasn't worked. It hasn't been as effective as they were hoping that it would be. Minton, all the attention he's received coming out of camp, and it's been a slower start than they would have wanted. Not just because they haven't scored. That's okay not to score. It's more they haven't generated very much.
Yeah, they're not impactful. They're not impactful.
They don't have the puck in the offensive zone. They're not giving energy. They're not wearing other guys out. They're not drawing penalties. The stuff you want to do if you're not scoring.
Yeah, and that's, ultimately something that not these players in particular, but this issue is something Dubas had to deal with for a long time, Johnny, and it's not going to change just because Trey Living has arrived. When you, invest as much money into certain players like they have, the Dubas era was consistently him trying to find cheaper options, younger options, different options for the bottom six and for depth on the blue line. And Trey Living's going to have to deal with the same issue. Like until the cap goes up exponentially or they decide to make a serious philosophical move in terms of moving off a player or two in particular, he's got the same challenge. Team isn't, there's different players, but it's still the same setup that Dubas had. It's just a new GM now.
Yeah, and the same team that has been really, really good with that setup, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're always trying to get better, but they very, very good with that setup, and they will be again this year. They made a commitment to Klingberg. Let's see if it can work itself through. It's still working on it. McCabe was a big move last year. They traded a first-round pick to get his salary shaved, so he's a lower-priced option. Like, he needs to kind of find his footing. And then, the bottom six, like the entry-level guys, which is Knies and Minton, these are the guys supposed to play better than their contracts. You're talking about trying to find financially viable options. Well, that's what entry-level deals are. So, they're working on it. They have the good news is, though, the best guys, they're playing. Like Austin Matthews probably played better, not better. He had more chances to score last night than he did in the first two games, and he had none. Like, he could have had 4 goals last night, and he got none. Nylander is incredible right now, and Nylander is so making John Tavares go. Like, it's so important that those two stay together the way that Nylander tracks pucks and carries pucks and works well with Tavares. Mitch Marner is doing his thing as per usual. Like, at least if you're going to have anyone going, having your best guys going is so important. The other issue, we haven't even talked about it once, and I think it's not just reactionary to 3 games. Noodles. Samsonov wasn't great in camp. No. He didn't play that much. Wasn't great. Wool, can't say Wall anymore. Wool, he only played 1 full game. He was just okay in that last game against Detroit. And from what I've seen in the game so far, they haven't been terrible, but they haven't been good. And that, as much as anything, if they were just better, it would clean up a lot of the mistakes the team in front of them is making because they've just been okay so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wool was okay last night, and Brian said, like, you give up 2 breakaway goals. Maybe if he gets one of them, it just looks a little bit different, like feels a little bit different. I say this all the time, guys. Like, you're going to give up goals, but teams that win and teams that believe in their goaltenders, they get the right save at the right time to either keep them in the game, to give them an opportunity if they're getting caved in. Like, it's the ability to identify when that team needs that big save.
Noodles,
and that's
we only believe in
goalies.
We only believe in goalies when they save it. Like, that's it.
That's true.
That's when we stop believing, when they don't save it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but watching that game last night, guys, I was in studio watching it, and when the Leafs made it 1-1, I said, if Leafs score the next goal, this game's over. Like, they're going to run away with this game, and it's done. Done. If they don't, it's going to be a tough night. And sure enough, unfortunately, if you're a Leaf fan, that's how it played out because they kept a team around. Give Chicago credit. They play hard. They defend hard. Their goaltender, who I've never even really seen play before, Soderblom, was very good.
Yeah.
But like that, unfortunately, it felt like a Leaf game we've seen over the last few years where they really play well against the top teams. They really do. Their best games are often against Tampa and against Boston, and they've struggled at times against teams maybe that are lower them in the standings. And that's what last night felt like, just not quite dialed in to start and let a team that they're better than hang around long enough to get a result.
Johnny, the one guy I will challenge you on is, you talk about the top guys. I think Nylander's been dynamite. Matthews as well. I think Marner's been average at best, to be honest with you. It's only 3 games. I'm not trying to make some blockbuster statement, but I think he's just got more to give. He hasn't been as dialed in as he usually is.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair because, that's relative to the standard that we hold him to.
Yeah, because, of course. He's usually very, very all over the puck, like he's dogging it, and he has it, and turnovers. he hasn't been himself through 3 games.
No,
been okay, but it's just been okay.
Yeah, like at this point, it's the Matthews and Nylander show, and
That's
everyone's kind of focused on the two of them dragging them into the fight, and they've been able to do that through the first 2 games. And even last night, to your point, Matthews had 18 shot attempts last night.
Crazy.
Which
That's
is
wild.
A crazy amount. His career high is 19. He had that in Carolina, I think, a few years ago. But he was all over it. Couldn't beat him. It happens, and now they hit the road. We were talking about some of the Canadian content tonight, including Pierre-Luc Dubois heading back to Winnipeg. And these guys had a different, they had their own viewpoint on how maybe the Jets carryovers would feel about Dubois tonight, the Scheifeleys, the Morrisseys, the Connors, the Ehlers, the guys who have been there for quite some time. Do you think they take it personally the way he went out, how he wanted out almost from day one that he got to Winnipeg? And if so, how do you expect them to kind of handle the Dubois story tonight in Winnipeg?
No. I mean, I expect the fans to boo lustily, which is fine. As long as they don't, it's not personal. It's not, he chose somewhere else. But let's just take a step back and say, just general population. Would you rather spend a winter in L.A. or Winnipeg?
We know the answer to that.
It doesn't mean you have to like it, Johnny.
No, it doesn't. And which team do you think is closer to a cup right now, Winnipeg or L.A.?
I think L.A. Right. Although I don't love their goaltending.
Right. So it's hard to say, what are you thinking? I mean, you're thinking what most people would think. So that's okay. If you want to talk about the players, I've always found and I've always felt I never held it against a guy for a second if he wanted to change the scenery. I didn't. Everyone's got their own stuff they're dealing with, reasons to do what they want to do, whether it's hockey or financial or personal or geographical or whatever. And I never bothered me for a second. And if you're going to hate on Dubois for leaving, how are you going to feel about Hellebuck, who made it pretty clear he was hoping to leave 3 weeks ago? All summer he was kind of open to leave. I don't think the players will care. I mean, I think they'll want to show well for their home crowd. They might say some things that might endear themselves to the home crowd, but I don't think the guys will care at all one way or the other.
Well, the only thing, Johnny, I was trying to suggest was Rick Bowness had some really sharp, pointed comments at the end of the season last year. And you wonder if they were pointed at either Dubois or Wheeler or whatever. And if there's some hard feelings, you'll see there might be one guy that takes a run at him. There might be one guy. I don't think it's Scheifele that wants to make a statement or whatever, but it might be somebody that didn't care for his
Adam
attitude.
Lowry?
Maybe.
Wouldn't it be great if it was one of the guys that he was traded for? You want to endear yourself to a new fan base.
Right.
That's
I
have followed just a
Why not
him.
make the fans fall in love with you? Fake hatred.
Exactly.
Take a swipe at them, run them through the boards, drop your gloves.
That would work.
Flick your hair back and tell the crowd you love it.
And it may be real hatred. They may be thinking, man, I was living in L.A., dude. You had to demand out.
Yeah, you
I didn't want to
screwed
leave.
me over.
You
screwed me.
I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, that's it. They would be pissed. I was on Hermosa Beach, and I was.
Imagine if he was renting your house on Hermosa Beach. You would just want to strangle him on the ice.
Yeah, you had big plans. I don't know. Yeah. One of them has a big Halloween party every year on Sunset or something, and it's just he's taking it over now, and it's bigger and better than ever. The Kardashians just agreed to come. He's like, I'm gonna kill this guy tonight, man. I'm gonna lose my mind. On this
Kardashians.
guy.
No, Justin Hebert, the 250th.
Oh, yeah. There it is. Maybe the QB for the Chargers that no one seems to care about in L.A. Anything is possible. Lastly, before we get you out of here, let me paint a picture for you tonight. The Oilers lose 4-0. Jack Campbell's starting. Campbell's not great. McDavid and Draisaitl, for whatever reason, don't show up. What are the headlines like in Edmonton tomorrow?
What's going on with Connor McDavid? I think his line at 5-on-5, shockingly, has not been very good through 2 games. Shockingly. We never, ever say that. And it wasn't good. They were outplayed. Not just they didn't score, but they were outplayed. And if they were to not score and to lose, and they'd probably be on the ice for 25 minutes because it's the 2 of them together tonight, it would probably be, if it's just 4-0, it's 9-0, and they go through 2 goalies, then it's goaltending. But if it's 4-0, then I think it's where's this offense? Where's this offense that's supposed to carry us? And we'll see how that goes, because if you guys watch the Vancouver games, and maybe because it's early in the year, but Connor McDavid is tough and he's physical, but he got in more kind of scrums and hits and pushing and shoving with JT Miller and his group than I remember him seeing out of him. And not to say that he can't do that, but I would like steer clear of that stuff. Like, you're just dragging yourself down to a level of a player that can't skate with you. You know, you got to earn your space and work for it, but don't get pushing and shoving and jousting with JT Miller, because that's a game that he has a chance in. If you just skate by him, he has no chance in that game. So I wonder if they just kind of, adjust, pull back on trying to be physical, because I thought he was almost looking for physicality the first two games. That was unusual for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to believe he won't just explode tonight, him and Draisaitl. Like,
I'm taking the over 1.5 points.
Yes. Yeah. It feels like a lot of points tonight, goals tonight. Nashville, they're what are they, an average team? They're kind of a team in transition with Trotz taking over as GM. It's a big test for Brunette behind the bench. But Edmonton should be coming out hourly. I thought they would on Saturday, and like you said, Noodles, they played well, but they lost. So
yeah, they
tonight
put 40
I
out,
would
but
expect
you need the timely save. That's the thing. You put 40 shots up. You felt like you were around it a little bit, but the breakdowns were glaring, and the goaltending didn't bail them out. Like
Hazy, are you saying Edmonton's
effort.
the winner if you just had to pick a winner?
Yes, I would say outright I'm going Edmonton tonight. Yes.
How about a little bit of this?
You like Nashville tonight? I'll happily take your action. I'll take your action all day.
Would you take it at 2-1?
Yeah,
no,
well,
this
the odds
is just a straight up
manly,
bet. This is just a manly man bet.
Oh, I'm trying to get you better odds right now.
You don't chime in anymore, Johnny. We got to go here.
We don't play that.
I got a
Homie
sucker
don't
on
play
my hands.
that.
All right, buddy. We'll do it again later in the week.
Talk to you.
Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota. Check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory arriving daily. It's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com. It is Jack Campbell, we believe, tonight, starting for the Oilers. UC Soros starting for Nashville. Big one tonight. Big one in Winnipeg. And, again, the Leafs are off until Thursday night. Marcellus Wiley was in attendance last night. Chargers, Cowboys. Cowboys found a way to pick up a win. They're 4-2 on the season. Chargers lose. They're now 2-3, coming off a bye, too. They got a long way to go.
Get the Charger clip ready, Doogie. Get the Charger clip ready.
We will. Doogie's on top of it. He's ready to go. He actually sent the FanDuel odds for cup projections this year. The Kings are 18-1. Jets are 34-1.
There you go.
Odds to win a Stanley Cup.
Doogie's timing is way better than Grappler's.
I'm not going to say that. That's not true. The Grappler was very quick on the trigger.
It's an early observation.
Well, the Grappler's in management now, all right? He's probably taking his suit and tie off right now. He's trying to, he's got a lot on the go, the Grappler.
Oh, he's probably in senior management meetings.
He very well could be. He very well could be. I think he was at the game last night in the executive suite, actually.
Probably.
If I saw that guy in there, no way.
Imagine
dude.
the Grappler was moving and shaking with the biggest shooters.
If he's courtside with top bell execs
he
at
will
the
be.
home opener.
I fully expect home opener, Grappler courtside. Yep, I think it's coming. I think you need to brace yourself for that. All right, Marcellus Wiley still to come. Our best bets brought to you by FanDuel as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Brad Lidge in about an hour. Game 2 of the NLCS tonight. I'm just expecting Bryce Harper to go off, Nick Castellanos to go off. Combined, they have 9 home runs already.
Wouldn't you take your chances, Hazy, with the Barry Bonds treatment?
It can't be far off. Yeah, it can't be far off.
Throw it in the dirt or say, just go to first, pal.
Right.
I'll take my chances.
Especially in that building.
Right.
That place is waiting to go nuts.
Yeah.
When both of them step up, but especially Bryce Harper. He owns that town more so than I think any other athlete does any other town in pro sports right now. I really do. I think Harper and Philly, that's at the top. I can tell you what, Justin Herbert in L.A., I don't think is far off, though. I don't think it's far off, right?
No.
He's
I forgot about that.
Right.
Bring in Marcellus and ask him that. Popularity, L.A.
Okay, here's Marcellus Wiley. Marcellus, you're the perfect guy to be able to answer this because you're a football guy. You're from L.A. You live in L.A. You love the Chargers. In terms of celebrity, is Justin Herbert one of the 250 most well-known celebrities in Los Angeles?
Oh, not even a chance. No, you gotta keep
Okay.
It's like 500, isn't it, Marcellus?
I mean, look, I would have said 2,500, if not 25,000. You know, LA is a weird place. Like, it's not based on merit. Like Justin Herbert, in terms of net worth and value and what he contributes, yes. But if you're talking about like recognizable and you're talking about Q rating and walking around town, like, no, because there are Instagram models more famous than all of them, including the Justin Herbert. There are people who out here who just tell jokes on social media. Like, LA is a weird place where you can have a lot of fame but not a necessarily fortune from it. So Herbert, if he keeps playing like he did last night, he's going to drop even lower in them rankings. You better get it right. That hurt me yesterday being at that game.
Well, I mean, that's it. We're glad you came on today knowing that you were there, because we were pumping the tires of L.A. yesterday. Like, I was saying it, O was saying it, Luke Wilson was saying it, who played in the league for a long time, won a Super Bowl. Chargers at home coming off a bye. You got to win that ball game last night. Like, how did it go south? And I guess, can you open the door to pumping the tires of Dallas in any way, considering they were the ones that went in there and pulled off the win?
Yeah, first you got to give respect to the winners in Dallas and the fact that they did show up after that beat down from the San Francisco 49ers. Way to respond. Obviously been 2 tough road games for them. And look, both teams fought last night, but the Chargers have this everlasting issue of not finishing what they set up and what they start. And it's just weird because you know that this is a qualified team in terms of talent. You know how good they are. Like, I've been to countless Chiefs games where the Chargers are up and winning, but in that last 2 minutes, you're not only holding your breath, but you're just pretty much thinking you're going to choke. You're going to suffocate because they're not going to be able to finish what they've done for the other previous 58 minutes. It happened again last night. Like, I've seen this team lose 3 games this year, and every one of them ends with a sack, an interception, or turnover and downs out of bounds when you know they're in position to win all of those games. And playing the Cowboys last night, that was a tough one. But, look, it wasn't Herbert's best game. I'm not going to drop him in my rankings in terms of how great I think a quarterback he is. The non-throwing hand injury did have some impact. But all that said, this team's in trouble if they can't finish. And if they can't finish ball games, not only are they in trouble, but we're going to have a new head coach really soon if Staley doesn't fix this issue.
Well, how do you get that killer instinct? Because I always look at Herbert, and it's like he looks like the American god quarterback, like he's built to play quarterback. Like, do you think he has the killer instinct? Can it be put into him somehow, Marcellus? Could he grow into that, or does it just have to happen organically? Because, like you said, they're in trouble again, and another new coach comes in there. It's like, where is this organization at?
Yeah, it's funny about the killer instinct. Like, if you really look at what that is, that's result-based. And so he needs to get the results so people can start saying he has it. Because you could have all type of different weapons to show that you're a killer. Like, someone who shoots a gun is different than someone who stabs with a knife, who's someone who's different, who uses their hands to choke you out. Like, it's all death. It's all bad. It's all gets to the same place, but different ways of doing it. Like, I played against some guys that Peyton Manning, they ever going to get the killer instinct? Tom Brady, does he have the killer instinct? And they're all different complexions of personality. They're all different types of dudes. Joe Montana, different type of dude than Steve Young. You ever talk to Steve Young for real? You ever feel like you just went to class? Like, he's almost like a academic. And then at the same time, he's trying to rip your neck off. And you're like, how is that the same guy? And so I think his personality works. It has to work for the team. And right now, this team is disjointed. The defense works, then the offense isn't. The offense is working, but Herbert's a little off. Herbert's good, but when we have some special teams and mental errors, it's just like all of that comes down to the coach has to command the team to buy in. And that just has to happen. And it's really going to fall on the lap of the coach. It's not going to be Justin Herbert. He signed a big deal. We know he's a top 10 talent. I think he's top 5. He's not going anywhere. But that coach and Coach Staley and some of his decisions, and if he can't keep these guys going together at the same time, the same direction for 60 minutes, it's going to land on his feet.
With Marcellus Wiley, I know you were at the game last night, so you weren't watching it. But did you see that woman that was going crazy? Chargers fan, and I'm sure you've seen her going viral last night and went viral today.
And what was she doing when she was saying "gimme"?
Oh, so she was on the Jumbotron too, because she was all over ESPN last night, and everyone's trying to figure out what was going on there. And the conspiracy theories are, and I think this is really a slant on the Chargers, because no one thinks the Chargers have real fans, with all due respect, Marcellus, that was like a paid actress to show. I think that's absurd, personally, but where do you stand on that conspiracy theory?
Interesting. Look, I am a Chargers fan. I'm a real fan, but I am not sensitive, so I get what you guys are saying. Look, on the drive up to SoFi Stadium, my son says literally as we're 1 minute from our parking spot, "Daddy, why are there so many Cowboys fans?" I was like, because the Cowboys are in town. And then my daughter says literally, "Daddy, are there any Charger fans at the game today?" And I was like, "Yeah, you'll see some. We're not the only ones," right? So I get it. But that said, I went to a game, the first game this year, and I remember seeing this promotion for this AI movie that's coming out and some robots and fake, deep fake stuff. And I wonder if the Chargers leaned so far into it that even ESPN said, "Hey, let's run with it," kind of like in contrast to the Taylor Swift stuff. So maybe that lady wasn't really a lady or a real person. That's the only conspiracy theory I have, because it would make sense. Because whenever you're chasing a theory, follow the money. And there was money paid to the Chargers to run with these fake fans in week 1. So I wonder if those fake fans have turned into this fake one fan that they showed you guys. That's the only thing I got. Other than that, they need to throw me on the screen. I'm at more games than her.
That's
I don't know why she getting all this love.
Yeah, give Marcellus something. You played for the team. I mean, come on.
You guys are making me think the lady on the airplane was right. She's like, "You're not real. You're not real."
Right. Something's going on, man.
There's something going on.
A lot of wild stuff going on out there, man. That is the truth. With Marcellus Wiley, and we always talk about different kind of moments in the season or different dates you can circle, and in all sports, and say, all right, now we really know what's going on. Now we know 20 games into the NHL season. It's probably 40 or 50 into baseball. Is 6 weeks, is that enough in the NFL where you can start looking around and saying, the real guys have shown up here, and the pretenders, they're starting to show their true colors as well?
Oh, absolutely. As a former player and now a coach that coaches kids, and no matter what level it is, there's a certain point where you just realize, okay, I'm in the 90 percentile. I may be wrong on one, but I'm right on most. And right now you're going to be right on most. If you see these teams, the Chargers, let's use the teams last night, Chargers and Cowboys, teams that are going to fight, teams that you're going to be in a fight with. But chances are all they're going to do is scratch and nick you up. You'll be able to knock them out. That's what it looks like for those top teams. Now, there are teams better than them, and there are teams like the Dolphins, the Lions, you look at the Chiefs, that you would put more confidence in that they're going to finish the deal for whatever reason. So what's happening now is you try to play that mental game of I'm not my record if you don't like your record. But if you like your record, you say you are your record. And that's the part of the season we're in now, where you can't say it with certainty, but you should say it with full confidence if you're being real. The teams have showed who they really are, their colors are. A 1-5 Patriots team is not winning the Super Bowl this year. Now, that may sound harsh, but that's the reality. There's no chance for some teams, and certain teams have a much greater chance.
Marcellus, Aaron Rodgers, I think he knows when cameras are on him, and he liked the crutches, and then he was like, okay, there's no more crutches. I'm going to go out on the field and throw some footballs. And, people are starting to talk. Do you think that there's a chance that this guy could do something stupid and be back, way earlier than expected?
Man, I would take the word stupid out and say yes. I actually anticipate it. I've had conversations on my show about it. I talked to the pro football doc, Dr. David Chow, about it. Here's the timeline. So he came on our show a few weeks ago and said he expects Aaron Rodgers to make a push to actually play this season, and it could play out. Now, we remember when David Akers had Achilles surgery, and he's a running back and came back in 5.5 months. Now, Aaron Rodgers got hurt in September, but he's a mobile quarterback that doesn't need to run necessarily to make an impact. So you can see it, Aaron Rodgers, with the technology that's advancing, with his progressive rehab, with his mindset. And let's be real, no matter how we feel about him personally, because I'm in the chorus with most people about Aaron Rodgers. The dude is a future Hall of Famer, top 10 quarterback who has a level of greatness that he will push to make sure he gets his results. I predict that if the Jets are anywhere near contention or if really fighting for a playoff position, Aaron Rodgers will be back this year. The technology, the medicine, the mindset all supports it. And the timeline of this injury is no longer you're out for a year. This isn't Dominique Wilkins with the Achilles tear in the 80s and 90s. This is not even Kevin Durant with the Achilles tear a few years ago. It's not even David Ayers for a few months ago, year ago. This is Aaron Rodgers with the new technology and medicine and mindset to go out there and finish this deal maybe in even 4 months. I see him coming back if the Jets can hold up their end of the bargain.
Marcellus, I wanted to go back to what you talked about, the 1-5 Patriots. When you think of Belichick and having to roll out Mac Jones, it's not going so well. Like, would they be better off just winning 2 or 3 games this year and trying to bottom out? And does this take some of the luster off of Belichick, or just basically heading into the season? Did you think they were going to have this type of bottom feeder season?
No, I didn't expect it because I thought Belichick was able to manipulate it exactly how he wanted it. And with the amount of space away from Tom Brady, it's been a few years. So now you had a chance to recover, take a deep breath, and go out there swinging. And this is the swing that we're seeing, and it's a swing and miss. It's sad to see because I think Belichick's the best coach ever. But this also proves what every coach knows. And I find this out to be true even coaching 8-year-olds. I coach 8-year-old football. I coach 8-year-old basketball. And if you give me a bad team, I'm all of a sudden a bad coach. And you give me a good team full of talent, I'm a good coach. And it's just that real. This team is devoid of talent, the qualifying talent to compete. And more than that, Belichick needs to figure out how to communicate with these guys. There's a 50-year age gap right now going on, and he's losing that battle in communication. That said, I never raise my hand to bottom out. There's always a learn, whether you win or lose. And if I were Belichick, I would try to keep winning because say you win in terms of going out there and getting the quarterback you want in the draft because you guys tank. But you lose so much in credibility if you're Bill Belichick. So it's a tug of war. It's a balancing act. It's a seesaw. If I were him, I'll win as many games as I can, find myself somewhere in the middle pack of drafting and get the best quarterback available or move up in that draft. But Mac Jones is not the answer. Maybe he will be with a breath of fresh air somewhere else. But the book is closed on Mac Jones. It's not him. But who will it be? I'm not going to give up my season to figure that out.
Always great catching up with you, Marcellus. We'll do it again next week. Thank you for this.
All right, guys, take care. And tell me where all the Charger fans are. I'm looking for them, brother.
All right. Well, they're not up here, I can tell you that. But they're around. Actually, there's a few. There's a few up here. I shouldn't say that. There's a few. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate it. Marcellus Wiley.
Dude, there's not a few. I don't know one person.
I know a couple. I actually do know a couple. And, like, diehard Charger fan. Like, diehard San Diego fans. And now they've carried up to L.A., But quickly on Belichick, the Pats are 1-5 this year. I saw earlier today Belichick is 8 losses away from losing his 165th regular season game, which would tie the record for most losses ever for a coach.
That just means he's been around forever.
It is. Yeah. It is.
But he doesn't want it.
You still don't want to own it. Exactly. You still don't want to be the guy who loses the most. And the whole Brady with Belichick thing is a lot different. than
Not even a
Belichick with
thing
everybody
anymore,
else.
dude.
That's for sure. All right, confirm and deny in about 15 minutes. Brad Lidge coming up as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, TSN 1050's Maple Leaf lineup. Your chance to win a pair of Leaf tickets every week, all season long. Every weekday, we'll announce a current or former Maple Leaf player. And on Fridays, you'll have a chance to call in and name the Leafs lineup of the week. Name all the players in the lineup. You'll score a pair of tickets to an upcoming game. Today's player is Dave Keon. The great Dave Keon is your Maple Leaf player of the day. This week, we're giving away a pair of tickets to see the Maple Leafs take on the L.A. Kings on Halloween night, October 31st. You can go down and boo Pierre-Luc Dubois that night. It'd be very fitting on Halloween. Why not? Right?
I got to have dinner with Dave Keon a bunch of times in South Florida.
Nice.
Wow.
Ron
That's
Francis, my line mate, was teammates with Dave Keon. And I didn't know. He's like, I'm going to meet an old teammate of mine. You want to come for dinner? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then in the cab, it's like, who is it? And he's like, Dave Keon.
That's
like,
awesome.
Dave Keon?
Dave Keon. That's great. What a great little stop and chat with Dave Keon.
Like it's not. I thought it was like Pat Verbeek. No, it's Dave Keon.
That's outstanding. All right, final hour, confirm and deny, still to come. Brad Lidge and our best bets. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050, soon to be up on TSN 2.